What's good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what the technicals are suggesting for these stocks, what news is coming out for today affecting the markets, and what earnings are coming out, and all these other things that are going to be very important for the markets over the next couple of days. But before I break anything down about all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. Now, this offer ends in just about 6 days from now, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with Tesla and the market. So, Tesla is down about 0.37% in the pre-market so far, and we're still very, very tight. Tesla's just going back and forth, very choppy so far. So we're going to be watching which way this thing ends up breaking to cause a bigger move. I just want to let you guys know there's a risk of some downside just looking at technicals for now. But we're going to be watching where buyers try to defend it. Now, when it comes to the stock market, just as a reminder, we have new home sales coming out 30 minutes after the market opens. And then later on, as time goes on, we have more auction data between 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time and 1 p.m. And then we have Jerome Powell giving a speech at 4:35 p.m. So that's going to be after the market closes. Now, even though Jerome Powell is going to be giving a speech at a lecture for the social science and public policy, he's going to be giving basically, I'm sorry, not a lecture, but it's going to be an introductory remark at the lecture. There's always a chance that he can make some kind of claim about the economy, say just a little comment here and there. If he mentions anything, there's a risk of this affecting the markets, and that's why you need to be prepared for this just in case, because with Powell, you never know what he's going to do. Remember, the last time this guy spoke, the stock market tanked. He caused the market to tank like crazy last week, also 2 weeks ago, when he kept giving his speeches. So you never know what he's going to say, and you want to be prepared just in case, because this could always cause some volatility. When it comes to earnings affecting the market, today after the market closes, we have Meta and IBM announcing earnings. For Thursday, we have Amazon and Intel, so we're going to be watching those carefully. And earnings are a big focus of the market, especially for futures and etc. When it comes to the tech companies coming out, as they're in full earnings mode, Alphabet, aka Google, reported an 11% revenue rise, but its cloud business missed analysts' estimates by $20 million, which caused it to basically sell off. But I do believe it's kind of exaggerated. That alone is just like very insignificant relative to the other earnings they did very well in. They beat earnings for the most part, and they still have decent guidance. It wasn't like that horrible. Now, moving forward from Microsoft, however, they're up quite nicely as they saw net income grow 27%. Revenue was up quite nicely. They beat on EPS and revenue, and things are looking very, very good for them. Even Snapchat is leaping up as much as 20%, so looking quite decent. Uh, but sentiment reversed and turned negative basically as we had some negative news, but overall, not the worst. Meta has been sued. There's some news about Meta. There's basically a bipartisan group of 42 attorneys suing Meta right now over social media issues, them being potentially addictive for kids and teens. That's what they're basically claiming, and we'll see how this affects Meta in case you're interested. UAW has strikes that are going on, and then there's some concerns involving fuel because of the war. So this is all important news. We'll see how this affects the markets. So far, we're seeing how Alphabet's affecting us for the most part. Tesla's also warning us that a federal probe into it, whether it exaggerated or not, whether it exaggerated the range of its cars, may lead to material adverse impact on their business. So we're going to be watching to see this. If something were to be announced like this, if the lawsuit says that they're exaggerating their ranges, this could really, really hurt Tesla. So we're going to be watching to see this very, very carefully. And we're starting to see Tesla sell off a bit amidst this news coming out, so it's very important. Now, when it comes to Tesla, we're going to be watching this range right here. How is Tesla looking right here? Well, I'm starting to become a little concerned because this is starting to look a little bit like a head and shoulders, but I'm not like super convicted on this until we see Tesla break down, if we do end up seeing it. I was warning everyone that there could be some downside coming for the markets, and then we might see buyers try to defend at these lower levels. The market's starting to sell off in real time. Tesla is still kind of flat, so we're going to be watching some key levels, and we'll see where the buyers try to step in. So as far as Tesla goes, we're basically stuck between 216.8 and about 214 as key support. We're in this range. We've been stuck like this for many, many hours. If Tesla breaks 216.8, there's a chance it's going to get up to 218. If we break this, watch 220, 222.5, and then 225. If we break below 215, watch 214. If we lose that, 212 is likely going to come for the gap fill. If we lose 212, watch 210 and 208. How is Tesla looking? In my opinion, it's looking kind of weak right now. We're getting some wicks above, and we're starting to see it weaken. It's getting very tight, but there is a risk to the downside for Tesla. So we're going to be watching 214 carefully. Do buyers try to defend it, or do we end up breaking it? If we lose it, we're going to see Tesla sink to 212. And at one of these levels, we should see buyers try to defend it, but there is some risk of downside. Just looking at the current chart on SPY, okay, and even if we do drop, guys, it's going to be okay as long as Tesla does not end up breaking below some of the lows we made. If Tesla holds like 210, we're going to be in a decent place. If we lose it, Tesla could turn a lot more bearish. So I just wanted to warn you about that. Be very careful. As far as SPY goes, we're holding 422. We came down to it. Now we're seeing buyers trying to defend. So we're going to be watching this gap up to about 423. We look like we're going to be kind of range bound for now between the 423s and about 421.5. So if you want to turn bullish, you want to see us break 423.5 and then to get up to 425 to 426. If we're bearish, you want to see this thing break below 421.5. If we lose that, we're going to be watching this come all the way down towards 420.8. And if that fails us, 420 is going to be the next level. If 420 fails, that's when we're going to turn bearish on SPY. There's a risk of it coming down to 418 or so. So what's going on? Well, I also want to call out that even though Jerome Powell is going to give a speech, this could affect the market to some extent. For Thursday, we have the GDP numbers coming out, and the market could be a little nervous approaching this. This is going to have a big effect on the markets and the Fed's monetary policy, and also yields. Yields are going to be affected by this big time, so we're going to be waiting for this. If SPY ends up losing 421.5, there's a risk of it coming down towards 420.8, but somewhere around here, buyers should try to defend it. It looks a little bearish right now, so there's a risk of some downside. We'll see if we kind of like pop and then drop in as time goes on or not. And it really depends on if we could hold above 420 or not. That's going to be everything at this point. If we hold it, we're going to be in a decent place for tomorrow. If we lose it, things could slow down. My gut tells me we're going to see some like sideways price action, maybe a little downside for the time being. But I think buyers will try to fight. So just be ready for that, and we'll see how we hold around these levels. All right. For the most part, I think we're going to be range bound. We want to see a little downside, but we're just going to go back and forth for the time being, and we'll see which level ends up breaking. Same thing with the QQQ. Now for the QQQ, we're expecting 356 to 355. We're currently at 356.9. If we're bullish, we want to see it get above 357.5 and then 358. We have this unfilled gap at 358, so we can see a little pop right there before it starts sinking. And if we continue to sell off, you're going to be watching 356.5. If we lose that, we're going to be watching 355 act as support and then 353.5. So we're basically kind of like stuck right now. And I think that's it's very likely we're going to see this remain range bound. So it might come down a bit. We might see a little pop as we open to fill this gap and then just continue to sink. And we might just trade sideways for today, approaching the GDP numbers. But there is a slight risk of some downside. So watch if 356.5 holds. If we lose it, we could get, we could turn a little bit more bearish. So just watch those levels very carefully. On Nvda is also looking a little bit weaker. We're going to be watching support right here at 432 to 431. We're seeing some buyers trying to defend right there. And it happens to be very close to its important moving average. I think this is where the 30 minutes 200 EMA happens to be. So we're going to be watching these levels. We had a bearish divergence yesterday, and this has led to a sell-off. So we're going to be watching 431-ish around that range. If we lose it, you're going to be watching this potentially come down towards 428. And if that fails, let's watch 420, basically 425 below that. We were expecting Nvda to come down. It did come down so far. But we're going to see where buyers trying to defend. Is it going to be around, as long as we hold above 430, there's a chance we could try to rebound. And for key resistance, watch 438. If we break 438, then we could see 440. But as of right now, it's not looking that way. So we'll be very patient. There is this gap at 436. We'll see how this trades. It's looking kind of like it's range bound like the market. So we're going to be watching these levels just to see how things go. Last but not least, for Aapl, Apple's barely holding 172. If we lose this, watch 171.5. If we lose that, it's going to come down towards 171. Support's not that strong there. Then 170.26 is where we have stronger support. For resistance, watch 172.6. If we break that, watch 173.5. And then we have 174. If you want to turn bullish, we want to get above 173.5. Right now, the market's looking very, very sideways. Apple's looking a little weaker right now. We're barely holding 172. So we will see if buyers try to defend here. If we drop a little bit lower before buyers step in, and we will see if we can try to hold these levels. So look for a little downside on Apple and then a little pop. I think we're going to see a lot of sideways price action between 171.5 and about 173. And we're going to be watching which way it breaks in that range. Whichever way it breaks will determine the bigger move. Market's looking a little weaker though, so we'll be very, very patient. All right, guys, that's what I have for this video. Thank you all so much for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Market's to the moon because the long term is still very bright despite these short term nuances, these fluctuations, and these changes. So thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.